All right, we're live. Welcome, everybody. Let us know if there's any issues with the audio or video quality on this one. We've got the same setup as last time. Everything should be working, and I shouldn't have to fiddle around too much with it. So this was another impromptu live stream. I didn't really give too many minutes notice on this one, but it is what it is. So welcome. I'm just going to check my computer here, make sure that it's working. Got the same. Looks like it's working. If the audio is too hot, or if it's doing anything like clipping the microphone or whatever, just let us know. Anyway, welcome back. I hope everyone's doing well. I've had a bit of a busy week. I've been working pretty hard on the back end of getting things scheduled. So you're going to see a mix of stuff coming up. I've got some affordable gear, and I think you'll get a kick out of that. And there's also some sort of higher end stuff. So there's a mix of both coming up. Pork Chop, how you doing, man? Welcome, welcome. I'm just going to turn the gain on my microphone down. It looks like it's just a little bit on the hot side. Hopefully it's all right. All right, welcome, everybody. All right, let me work out how to get the comments back to the screen. Now, I did this last time. It's always the way. There's always something that should pop up but didn't. Here we go. Got it. All right. I was in a different spot. All right, there we go. So Pork Chop, welcome back, mate. I appreciate it. We got Kevin again. I'll do the shout out officially now. I've got everything working here. So my screen's here, camera's there. I'm going to be looking this way a bit, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Judd, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining in. All right, we got BC Rich. Welcome, mate. It's 5:30 a.m. on the East Coast. Man, that's an early time of the morning. Far out. Welcome, mate. I hope you're doing well. All right, Eric's here as well. How you doing, mate? He says just getting up and rolling. 5:35 a.m. in upstate New York. Awesome stuff. Well, a lot of people work a lot harder and earlier than I do. Well, maybe not harder, but at least those early starts, man. I'm not an early morning guy. I wish I was. I can sometimes get in the habit of it for a while, and then I'm not a late morning guy either, but I did a handful of 5:30 a.m. days or 5 a.m. days when I was in Japan, and by the fourth one I was fried. But I was walking a lot as well, so maybe that had something to do with it. But welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. All right, we got Octopus Ears here as well. I recently got a Supro Keeley 110 combo. What a great amp. Awesome stuff. Yeah, I'd love to review more Supro stuff. I haven't really showcased them in over 10 years. It's been a long time. So if I get a chance to do that down the track, I would love to test out more of their stuff. It's funny, I almost had an opportunity to do some Supro stuff recently, but it just sort of fell through, unfortunately. It is what it is. Some stuff like that happens. Hey, Octopus Ears. How you doing, mate? I missed somebody. We got Marsh and Murray as well. Thanks for joining in. All right. Nectarios says, hello, Shane from Greece. I'd like to ask, how do you guys cope with not being able to afford stuff? I'd like to be able to afford PRS, but seems elusive. I can't get it out of my mind, though. I mean, it really just depends on your situation. I mean, a lot of people spend money on stuff that isn't long-term. Like, if you're going to save up and buy a guitar like that, you probably would hold on to it for a long time. I also think there's cheaper ways around stuff too, like buying used, as I always say, will save you a lot of money. I know the market in the used department was crazy for a while there, but it's not the case now. You can get better deals now than ever before, and you don't have to spend like a whole bunch of money on a PRS custom 2410 top. There's other options. You can get a SE custom 24 like I did. You can spend $1,500 as opposed to 10 grand. It's a much smarter way of doing it if you don't have a lot of disposable income. So, yeah, at the end of the day, it's nice having an expensive guitar, one that you love, but you can make anything sound pretty similar. It doesn't matter if it's a 20-year-old Fender Strat or a 1-year-old Fender Strat. They're all going to sound pretty much the same if you are pretty competent. So focus more on the playing over, what you do and don't have. Like, that's kind of the mindset there. Work on your chops. That'll give you better tone than any guitar. All right. So welcome. We got Frank says, I'm still up on the West Coast. Very cool. All right. Hey, Dylan's here. How you doing, man? Thanks for joining in. Jamal's here as well. Man, everybody's here. You're right. Far out. This is crazy. So I'm going to try and do this at least once a week for a little while. This live stream thing's now very easy to set up. So if it looks like it's going to work on a particular evening or weekend or whatever, I'll schedule them up ahead of time. I'll try and do that this week, so at least you got some inclination of what's coming up, because I'm not very good at giving notice for the live streams. But click the bell, all that kind of stuff if you want to be notified, but it looks like most of you guys already are, so that's cool. I try to move on gear when I haven't had a chance to use it for 5 or 6 months. That's a great way to do it. Yeah, absolutely. Look, there might be some exceptions to that. Like, I didn't play live for a while, and I started thinking, oh, maybe I should sell this, maybe I should sell that, and then I thought, no, if I do play live, I'll regret that. So I played live a few times, and it kind of got that out of the back of my mind. But I'm the same. If I don't use something for 6 months, it hits the list of things to get rid of. It's very easy to let things sit around, and you can make room for other gear that you might want to check out or try or whatever as well. So that's a good way of doing it, man. And yeah, I agree. It's cool to have a whole bunch of different guitars, but if you're not using them, like, what's the point? I find most people that I talk to tend to play the same guitars more often than not, no matter how many guitars they have. So I don't know if that's everybody's mentality in the chat here or not, but I'm the same. I tend to play the same handful of guitars in most of my videos because they're the ones I enjoy playing the most. Is the audio okay, guys? Just let us know if it's clipping or sounding a bit harsh. It's hard for me to know. I'm just looking at the levels. They look pretty hot. All right. Hey, Eric. How are you, man? Hope you're doing well. Are you saying hi to ears? Very cool. All right. BC Rich says, this will be one of those few days where driving from MD to DC doesn't really suck, so I'm looking forward to it for once. So very cool, man. Leave the live stream on if you want. I'll probably go for an hour tonight just to catch up with everybody and take some questions. Anyone has any gear-related questions of stuff I've tested or tried, or if you need any help with anything, just let us know. That's the whole idea with these. What's my favorite semi-hollow guitar that I have? The Kiesel. It's not even close. It's probably the best guitar I've ever owned. It's great. So I've got the one that looks like a Tele, and I got another one that's kind of like the PRS 10 Top Killer. So that thing's great. That's unbelievable. It's 24 frets, stainless steel frets, big neck, light, just unreal pickups. The Holdsworth pickups sound unreal. That thing's the best. It's funny because it's one of those sort of guitars where I don't know, it kind of makes a lot of my guitars redundant that have humbuckers because it sounds unreal. I just realized my camera's not charging. One sec. All right, we're in business. I must have stepped on the cable, pulled it out of the charger over here. Yeah, I would say the Kiesel, hands down. That thing is just awesome. All right, Duncan Rose has got a Silver Stripe Bandit based on your reviews. Have an Envoy 110 also. They're awesome, great channel. Thanks. Hey, you're welcome, mate. No worries. Yeah, those amps are such a great deal. You can get them for I got like that last one for $100, and I sold it to my good friend Brian because I bought it basically just to showcase it on the channel. He wanted it. I sold it to him for $100, and he still got it. So yeah, it's a great amp. They're loud, and yeah. They've got a different kind of vibe to the Red Stripe ones. They're slightly smaller physically, but yeah, cool little amps. Hey, John's here. Welcome, mate. Welcome home. As in your home, and welcome back to the channel. All right. Hey, there we go. John's screaming at Jamal and vice versa, as we always do. Do you like Better Call Saul? You know what? I haven't actually watched it. I know of it, but yeah, I haven't watched it. I don't really watch a whole lot of television anymore. I'm more sort of into watching things on YouTube and stuff. But yeah, I guess the last thing I saw was the last season of The Boys. That was cool. And I also watched this one called it's got it's about this farm and this hole shows up on their property, sort of like a time travel kind of show. It had a weird name. I can never remember the name, but it was good. It's got that Josh Brolin guy in it. But no, I haven't seen that yet. Thinking about getting an acoustic, would that be useful? Is that well, if you're thinking about getting it and you want an acoustic guitar, then do it. But I don't really play acoustic much. I kind of, yeah, I don't know what it is. I just never find one that I can live with long term. I pick some based on certain attributes, like their acoustic sound, but the pickups aren't as good, or the pickup sounds great, but the acoustic sound isn't that good. For me, acoustic guitars take up a lot of space. Most people like to leave them out, which means they're on the floor, or they have a much larger case. I think if I was to buy one, I'd probably get the GS Mini, because I love the sound of those, and they're small. That would probably be the guitar I get personally if I ever buy an acoustic guitar again. But I mean, I can appreciate acoustic guitar, both build quality wise, tone wise, and all that, but I just don't use them enough to keep one at the house. All right, we've got Tom here. Early morning greetings from the great state of New Jersey. Very cool. I love my two Teles, 2020 and 1974 custom. In my humble opinion, the greatest electric ever made. Thanks from Uncle Leo. That's awesome, man. Yeah, you're right. Leo Fender made some classics, man, and the Tele's arguably, you can't pick, really. I mean, the Strats are great too for different sort of stuff, but the Tele sound, man, you can't beat it. I love it. In terms of single coils, man, the Teles are just, they're absolute machines, so great stuff. All right, John says, audio is good, sounds fine to me, audio is good. All right, cool, thank you very much. Steve says, hey Shane, getting ready for the Alabama heat. Good day to you, my friend. Well, you're lucky. I had a big, oh no, it's upstairs. I had a jacket on earlier. We went out for a walk and it's getting cold here. It was basically 0 degrees Celsius, which is cold this morning or last night. So yeah, I miss Alabama's, like, the coast there is underrated. That whole coastline, it's, I guess, not that big, but it's beautiful. It's like stunning, so I'm very jealous. That's great. Audio seems fine, thank you, mate. All right, drop Damo Music says, hey Shane, hope you're well. Audio is good. I'll buy most of the guitars from Sky Music. You introduced me to them. I hope they pay you some kind of commission, get all the business you bring them. So they don't pay me to do any of the videos I do on my channel. I do that, like, it's better just to keep all of that separate. If you use the affiliate links in any of my videos, then I'll get a kickback. It's only like 1 or 3%. So as I spit. So yeah, it's basically a couple of percent, and if you use it, that's appreciated. But if you don't, that's fine too. It works out well. I actually really like that arrangement. It means there's no pressure or commitment for me to do anything or to do it. I just borrow the stuff, use it, take it back. It's great. They're awesome. So I'm glad you've got some great stuff from them, man. They got really good stuff. Actually, I might be going down there the next few days. They got a few things I've been wanting to try finally in. So yeah, stay tuned. There'll be more stuff coming up. Filippo says, hello Shane. Is the California Tweed usable cranked at home in 1-watt mode? Yeah. I mean, it's almost like... I would say, well, when you say is it usable cranked, it's very quiet compared to the rest of the modes. But you could use it at home, and it will sound better at a lower volume clean than sort of like dimed loud on that channel. They have a great clean tone, and 1 watt is pretty much the perfect, when you're talking about a 12-inch speaker, that's probably perfect for that kind of situation. Depends on what kind of sound you're going for, but if you're just using it for a home amp, it's probably, the power attenuation absolutely helps, but you might want to look at a smaller amp again. I feel like getting an amp with a 12-inch speaker is probably, or is that the 10? No, they've got a 12, right? Hang on, did you say 110 or 12? Because they've all got, there's a couple of different models I tested. Anyway, the attenuation is great, and in that video, you can hear it like drop drastically in terms of its output volume. So Yeah, that's why they're on there. But just inherently, a 12-inch speaker is going to sound pretty loud, as will a 10 to some extent. But 1 watt really helps kind of nullify that a lot more. But they're great little amps. I'd love to try one live. They're super cool. All right. GW Taylor says, "Hey Shane, what a surprise having a late breakfast in Scotland. Very cool, mate. Thanks for joining in." Rod says, Rod Jackson here says, "Hey Shane, how do I stop myself from buying overdrive pedals?" You got to work out what it is you're looking for. Is it a playing thing? Is it a tone thing? What is it? Because one of the things I get a lot is no matter what pedal I use, it sounds pretty much the same. And that's because I know the sound I'm looking for. There's variations on stuff, and there's usability, and there's stacking and all that kind of stuff. Not every overdrive pedal's the same, but if you've got a pedal you're happy with and it's not quite enough, get a boost pedal, get a clean boost or or something else, maybe some sort of clon style boost maybe to use into your favorite pedal just to mix things up. Those kind of things can, change the way you look at it. Rather than just buying a dedicated pedal, if that's the case, it's always better stacking them together than, buying another one. That would be my suggestion. So take what you've got, try some combinations, turn the gain down on one, gain up on the other, volume up on one, volume down on the other, and see what you can get out of it. Because stacking pedals will drastically change your sound as well. Octopus says, "I'm kind of a Kiesel fan. I was hoping for a different answer. Wish they made the SH6 in 22 fret." Yeah, I mean, you can pretty much get like almost anything made from them, right? I'm almost certain you can get a custom thing. I saw on their live streams a little while ago that they're doing like they're basically selling off one guitar on their live stream super cheap. It's like the live stream deal. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm actually kind of considering buying a lefty Tele and seeing what it's like, because they look freaking awesome. It's funny because I've been such a Fender fanboy for so long. Like, as a lefty, I found Epiphones, Gibsons, Fenders, and Squiers, and that was pretty much it. So I kind of got like so used to finding those guitars everywhere, and they became my favorite because that's all I could find until I went to Jerry's Lefty Guitars, and now Sky Music have a whole bunch of guitars, and they're easy to find in Lefty now. But the Kiesels are like unbelievable. I don't even care anymore about the brands. Like, those guitars are, he's making some pretty special stuff. The older I get, the more open I am to like all of these different things I wouldn't have tried before. And doing what I do, I get to test a lot of stuff, and that excites me way more than whatever the next, Gibson or Fender or Squier guitars will be inherently. So yeah, I kind of get into that kind of stuff. Like even the other brands too. There's like Sir and all these other ones that make great stuff. What's your view on the Player Series versus American Fenders? The feel of the instrument will feel a little bit more premium on the American stuff generally. But that's not to say the Player stuff isn't good, because they're very good guitars. I've owned a few over the years. I've had probably 3 or 4 of the Made in Mexico ones. They're solid instruments. Usually where they kind of cut a few corners, and this is just through my experience, the switches aren't as good on the Player Series, so you probably have to eventually change those a lot sooner than you would on the American ones. But the pickups and all that, they sound fine. Anyone who says, the pickups in those guitars aren't good, can't dial in sound. Like, some of the best tones I've had with my Strat were from a Made in Mexico Strat. Back in the day when I played in Chicago and in Texas and that as well, doing some jams and having some fun, that's all I played was a Made in Mexico, which are now called the Player Series, I guess. So, yeah, they're great, man. I could take that as my only guitar to a gig and not have a problem with it. But you'll notice some subtle differences with things. Like, while the neck feels good, the shapes are pretty generic compared to, some of the ones you can get in the different series or the higher end stuff. So if you want a soft V-neck, you kind of have to go for something else. If you want a fatter neck, you have to go for something else. But I think they're pretty solid guitars. I don't really have a problem with them at all. Right. Eric says, I just got some new stuff. Warm audio bender. Very nice, mate. Got a JBL 10-inch sub to complete my JBL monitor setup. Very nice. Presonus Bluetooth monitor controller. Complete the system. Very, very good, mate. You know, I've got a set of studio monitors here. I've never had a sub. I would love to get one at some point, but it won't be while I'm here. There's not enough space, but very good. That's awesome. Nick says, do you think Brian is quite possibly the best blues guitarist of all time? He's if you're talking about my friend Brian, I would absolutely agree. I'm not sure who Nick K is. Maybe I'm having a brain lapse right now, but yeah, man, if you're talking about my friend Brian, he's a monster. I've known him for over 20 years, and every time I hear him play, he does something different. It's just impressive. It's impressive stuff. Hey, we got Diego from France. How you doing, man? Welcome. Thanks for joining in. Let us know where you're from too, folks. Always cool to find out where everybody's watching from. And if you can, leave a thumbs up too. It always helps people find the channel, and you know, all those kind of things help. So thank you. That would be cool. There we go. So saying BC, at BC Rich, more delay pedals. Yeah, delay pedals are a great thing to have in your pedal board setup. I love delay pedals. Electrics are what I started on. The higher retention and wider nut has always felt somewhat uncomfortable to me. Okay. Oh, you're talking about acoustics. Yeah, I totally agree. John says there's a couple of red stripe bandits on the Facebook marketplace at the moment. $350 in Geelong or $320 in Yarraville. But yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad price. I'll have to check the condition of that. I'm not actually on Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook for like 4 years. I don't miss it. But the Facebook marketplace is pretty cool for that kind of stuff. That's awesome. Octopus says it's going to be 111 degrees in California. Wow, that's so hot. That's like 40. It's like 40 degrees Celsius, I think, or 41. That's crazy. Double it and add 30. Yeah, so it's hot. All right. Thank you for the Fender Bassbreaker 30R review. I've had mine for 3.5 years and have gigged with it pretty heavily with great success. No need for pedals as well. That's awesome, man. A good friend of mine bought one about a year or so ago. I haven't seen him for a while, but he loves that thing. It's such a great amp. It's basically like Fender's answer to the DSL 40. It's pretty much what it is. It's great sounding combo. There's two from that series that I really love. The 30, and there's like a smaller, I think it's the 15. That thing sounds great. Raphael says, "What's up? I found that stopping watching gear content as regularly has reduced my gas, or always on the hunt for deals and new stuff. Playing live and realizing what is actually needed has helped." Totally agree, man. Yeah, the more I play as well, if I'm out playing even a couple of times a month, I'm thinking far less. Even though I review gear, you know, a couple of times a week or whatever, I don't like that part of me that was like, when you're bored or you're not playing live and you don't have something that's coming up, you tend to focus more on, oh, what can I get? I'm a bit like that with camera gear. I'm sort of like, oh, if I don't have something in the back of my mind that I want to do, I'm looking for something to get that might fill some sort of gear void. But yeah, you've really got to, like, the more you practice, the more you play live, the less you'll be inclined to just focus on the stuff. Yeah, I totally agree. So that's great. Well done. If I follow your advice to buy a Mexican Fender Player Tele, what would be the first upgrade to undertake? You know, I don't recommend upgrading anything unless you have to. There's no reason to change the pickups unless you don't like them. There's no reason to change anything on that guitar. I don't think there's really anything that you need to instantly change. Yeah, I only make mods generally out of necessity. So if something's not working or you prefer an angled switch plate, that could be something you want to look into. They put the switch on an angle in these different plates. It makes it a bit easier to get to. But they're fine. Like they're great sounding guitars. So if you do want to mod it and you're dying to do it, put some strap locks on there. There you go, done. JR Bell says, early morning in Georgia, what happened to the twin reverb tone master? Just saw the video from 4 years ago and you loved it. Yeah, I just had too much stuff, man. Like I can't, the thing is, some of these brands you do stuff with, they go, oh, you can hold on to it if you want. And then I'm like, well, great. So if I'm not using it, it just sits there. And it's generous of brands to do that, obviously, but I can't keep everything. And I tend to keep the stuff I use the most. I think looking back at what I had then, I had my, which one was that? The Tone Master. Actually, funnily enough, I ran into the dude that bought it off me at the Jam. So I actually played with the guy who bought it off me. He's a great player. He plays a Telecaster. He goes, oh, I bought the Tone Master off you like 4 years ago, whatever it was. I said, oh, okay, cool. It just wasn't for me. Like I felt like I've never really loved twins as much as I have super reverbs, Princetons, or deluxe reverbs. I can appreciate a good twin, but I don't love them inherently anywhere near as much as other amps. Like when I owned an actual twin, I had it alongside a Hot Rod DeVille 212, and the DeVille was more my sound. So yeah, that's what it comes down to. Just the twins probably are the thing that I don't like. I don't like them anywhere near as much as like a super reverb. If you know the channel, you know how much I like 410. So yeah, I just ended up moving it on. That was it. I move on a lot of stuff that I'm able to hold on to because I don't want to keep everything, and I got to pay my bills, right? So it works out all right. But yeah, it's not to say they're a bad amp or anything like that. Matt says, visiting Hawaii, catching live. Aloha. Ever try a wet, dry, wet at home? I'd never go back. Yeah, I used to run 2 amps in like a 2 stereo amp thing for a while, but I was always getting shocks on the microphone, so I just stopped doing it. It was one of those things that I just had enough of that pretty quickly. So no, nowadays I just keep it as simple as I can. 1 amp. The Kemp is probably the most complex thing I've got, and I've got that set up in a very simple way. But yeah, but enjoy Hawaii. It's top 2 places in the world for me. I love Hawaii. I want to go there next year. So enjoy. Definitely a tone thing. Cool. All right. Stefanowski says, hi, greetings from Poland. I bought a Squier Strat 70s classic vibe. Very cool this week. Thanks to your review. What improvements would you recommend making first? Yeah, this is pretty similar to the last question. It's a solid guitar. Like, I don't mod things just for the sake of modding stuff. I mod things because you need to change something. The pickups sound great in the classic vibes. The mod I made to mine when I had my Tele, I sanded the neck back a bit to make it less sticky. But in hindsight, I probably just could have used some fingery stuff, to make it a bit more slippery. But they're great. I played with those things live. Like I had a 60s classic vibe Strat and the 50s Tele. I actually owned 2 of those. And when I was in the US, I played one of those as I bought a cheap guitar for my travels, and it was awesome. So yeah, those 70s ones are great. I really like those. They're hard to find now as a lefty. They might have already discontinued them, but very cool guitars. Yeah, again, only mod stuff if you have to. I don't go down the rabbit hole of just changing pickups if you're not sure what the end result will be. Most of those differences, unless they're too buzzy or something for you, most of those tone changes you can make with a better amp or EQing your amp differently. Hey, we got Serious Amplification here. Welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. I was thinking about your amp the other week, that big, the combo. It's great. It was really good. Such a great sounding amp. So I hope you're making some great stuff there at the engineers headquarters. So yeah, hope you're well, man. Thanks again for the support. How about the Bonsai by JHS? I don't think I've tried that. Octopus says, the only thing about Kiesel these days, they're made a little more difficult for lefties. Pretty sure you have to prepay the instrument now. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay. Well, that's good info for all the lefties in the house. D-Mac says, I'm a fan of the Angry Driver. Can run it as a Blues Driver, Angry Driver, stack them in different combinations. That pedal's one of the best. It really is. I got to demo that from the shop. I borrowed it from Sky Music. I was kind of shocked. I remember thinking, like, this thing's by far one of the best pedals from Boss. Like, that thing is just, like, unreal. It's more complicated, but it can give you everything. That's a really great pedal. That's, yeah, one of the few that are still in my mind. Like, maybe I should try one of those one day. It's great. So, awesome. Thanks for the answer, Shane. For a Clapton tone, will you go Mesa, California Tweed, or Fender Tweed Deluxe? Yeah, probably the custom Deluxe, man. The California Tweeds are more like a Princeton with a bit more bottom end, or a rounder sort of sound, less sort of focused. They've got like this big warm sound to them. Yeah, the at least the current like Clapton tone over like the last 20 years has been mostly Tweed amps. So like the Tremolux and all that kind of stuff. So the 57 Deluxe is probably the amp to get that kind of sound. But yeah, that would be my suggestion if you're looking for that. Ant, welcome mate. He says, hi Shane, greetings from England. Just a quick message to say thanks for your reviews. I made several purchases over the last few years based on your recommendations. Thanks for your videos. Hey, no worries mate, I appreciate it. Thank you. It's funny, I appreciate all the feedback. It's one of those things. I've never had one person come up and say, oh, this thing you told me was good was crap. So that's pretty good after 14 or 15 years of making content. Obviously not full time for that long, but my original reviews go back a long time. So that's great, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. I just ordered an Epiphone 60s Les Paul. Can't wait for it to arrive. My first Les Paul. They're great. Yeah, Epiphone's getting better and better, man. So you'll get a kick out of that. It looks like you're a lefty too, unless that's a mirrored image. Very cool. Enjoy. There's a million opinions. Some say made in Mexico players are as good as you need, I should say. Others say, I might get a bottle of water. Others say the American Pro 2s are not good enough. It all comes down to the individual. Yeah, 100%. I mean, some people will only play custom shop stuff because that's what they used to, or they can justify the difference in the money and all that kind of stuff. I think probably the best value guitars at the moment, yeah, if I had to pick, probably say like the American Pro 2s. You know, they're not cheap, but they're great. They're as good as any custom shop guitar from years ago. Like if you look at how guitars have changed, look at the old Deluxe Strats. Arguably they're not as good back 20 years ago as the current American Pro 2 guitars are. They're very good instruments still, but they've finessed them so much more. So yeah, I would, it'd be hard to pick, but they're all good. All right, we've got Peter here. Welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. Oh yeah, Nick says, yeah, I met your friend Brian. Just seen him on your channel. Yeah, Brian's the best, man. He's so good. He doesn't like doing videos, you know, like talking to the camera or whatever. But any chance I get to showcase him playing is always fun. He's a wizard. He's one of the few guys who he was already awesome when I met him. Like he was ridiculous. But he'll still goes through courses and classes and all that stuff online, and you know, he'll do the Matt Schofield masterclass or something. And it's like, dude, how do you remember all this stuff? He's a musical genius, that guy. He really is. And he plays in the moment more than anyone I know. Everyone's got their licks and their tricks, and Brian will play something completely different every time. Yeah, he's something else. I'd love to get him on a video in the studio here and talk about his process, but I don't know if you'd ever do it or not. Hey, Mark's here. He just says, just back from shopping in South London, England. We're making up for your weather over here. 18 degrees Celsius and drizzle. I'll tell you what, the funny thing about winter here, and I'm sure John can testify to this as he's in Victoria as well. It's cold. It's been cold, but it's so nice. Like, it's a beautiful. I got a bit sunburnt today outside, so I shot a video outside today for a couple of hours, and there was no wind. It was just clear blue skies, but what was it? 12 degrees today, top temperature, something like that. I thought that said minus 18°C. Haven't seen. Oh, I'm trying to work out what that meant. Mark says, "Hey Shane, haven't seen Dr. Rick for a while. Is he okay?" Yeah, he's all right. He's been on some videos. It's funny because the algorithm doesn't push the videos that don't go anywhere to everybody. So he's been on. I think we did like 3 or 4 videos together over the last few months, which isn't many. But he's also been traveling and working a lot more at the moment too. So he's back and forth. He's been lucky enough to go to England a couple of times. And he's got some more travel stuff coming up. So, yeah, we have already spoken about doing more things, but it's just dependent. I went away too. So we didn't cross paths for a while. Went overseas, went interstate, came back. He came back and went again. So it'll work itself out. We'll get him back on the channel. But he's doing well. Thanks, man. Epiphone have really upped their game lately from most accounts. I've got a few and played more in the shops and finding them to be really good, especially the Gibson inspired stuff. That's good. It's hard for guitar companies now to make junk, right? Like, especially like these household name guitar companies, because they have to keep the standard up as high as possible, and they're doing a really great job. I think the Epiphones now are arguably the best they've made in, well, maybe since the old days, right? Since the made in Japan days and all that kind of stuff. I've seen the USA made Epiphones at Sky Music as well, but I haven't actually tried them. So yeah, maybe if there's a left, I don't know if they've got lefties in those. I'll have to look into that as well. But there's some really cool stuff. Do you have a lighter touch when playing? No, it's an interesting question. There's no quick answer to that. I feel like I've got a pretty heavy-handed grip on the strings. But I also feel like when I'm playing loose, I play great. So there's this weird combination of like almost like an authority thing in my hand doing the chords. If you're left-handed, if you're right-handed, obviously your left hand would be doing that. But my rhythm hand's loose, and if that's loose and I'm doing my thing, like, yeah, it's weird. It just depends on how you're playing. But for a lot of the sort of rhythm stuff, there's a balance between like there's a difference in attack between certain accents, certain notes, certain phrases and licks. There's no one answer to that, but if the tone's good, you tend to work more with that as well. If the tone's bad, I tend to play more heavy-handed. But I feel like if I'm playing at maximum volume potentially at the end of a solo, I'm digging in quite a lot. That doesn't mean every note's like that, but that's how I kind of perceive it. Like the last go-round on a solo after 3 or 4 times might be me at my maximum picking dynamic, but not necessarily every note. It's just sort of like try to escalate your attack and phrasing up throughout the solo. So I don't know. I don't really have a more logical answer than that. I don't know. All right, I'm a bit behind the chat here. I'll just scroll down. It's funny questions here. Matt says, "Hi Matt from Melbourne. Hi, I'd like to ask about wah-wah pedals. I use a Super Crybaby. I'm not sure what that says. What do I use normally? So the main one I've had for like 15 years now is a Crybaby GCB 95F. The F on the end makes the sound very different. It's weird. It's like the most mellow sounding wah pedal. So if you're looking for something that's not quite as bright, it's got a Faisal chip, or Faisal, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Fasel. And that's been my go-to. I've also was lucky enough to get one of those crazy tube circuits. No, sorry, jam pedals, Wachiko's wah pedals. And I leave it on the setting that sounds identical to the GCB 95F, but that's my main wah pedal. I've had it for years. I actually need to get a new base plate for it because I lost the battery compartment thing. It dropped, so I've got like a big ding in there. I need to replace the plate. So that'll be something I got to do coming up pretty soon, but that's still my main wah pedal, and Rick liked it so much, he ended up buying one as well. They're just a bit more mellow on the top end. They don't give you that attack on the highs that some of the other ones do. I'll type it in the chat here for you. GCB 95F. Boom. There we go. I'll put it on the screen while I have a quick drink. Thanks for joining in, everybody, too. I know, these live streams, they went on the back burner for 7 months. Almost, but I appreciate everybody coming back in and hanging out. I'm going to start incorporating these a little bit more, just to keep the fun of the channel there for me as well. It's something I've always enjoyed doing, but the setup, as I've mentioned a few times, after I moved here, I had a really hard time getting everything set up, and you've seen the studio change a few times, and now it's back to how it was, and it's definitely a lot easier now, and I got a 12-month subscription to this thing. So I'm going to be using it. So thanks again. How long have I been playing guitar for? So the first time I played a little bit of guitar in primary school, like grade 5. And then I picked it up late high school. So I started playing when I was maybe 16 or 17. Somewhere around there, I learnt some U2 songs. I just learnt songs I was listening to at the time, or bits of songs at the time. And then I went and worked in Michigan at this camp as a camp counselor thing. And one of the guys there was a great guitar player. Like, he was awesome. There was a few acoustic guitars, so we restrung one, and he taught me the 12-bar blues thing. And on that same trip, in 1999, I heard From the Cradle, Eric Clapton's blues album, and I could not believe that was Eric Clapton. It was like, I was like, what? The Tears in Heaven guy. And yeah, that was it. I was hooked. I was like, all right, I want to learn how to do some of that. Still trying. But that's when I started sort of taking it more seriously. Like, once I learned the blues progression, a few years after that, I started going to the jam. So around 2001, maybe 2000. It would have been one of those years, I'm not too sure. And yeah, I just got out there and played more. The more you play live, the better you get sooner, because you're forced into a situation where you have to listen and you have to respond and you have to do your part. There's no hiding. Playing live is the ultimate way of you're exposed to everything that's happening, whether you're singing, playing drums, whatever. You got to make it work, and it forces you into better situations. You'll learn a lot more too. So get out there and play live, everybody, if you can. Go to the jams. Excuse me. All right, let me just go up the chat here. Probably got about, we'll probably go right on an hour tonight. I don't want to go too late. So if anyone has any questions or comments, let us know. So coming up, yeah, as I mentioned before, I've got a 35-minute epic cheap, not overdrive, sorry, cheap pedal range video coming up. So there's like a whole bunch of different stuff in there. It's one of my most complex jam tracks I've ever put together. Obviously, I didn't use them all, but I put, I think, 6 different effects pedals in the jam track, and it should be coming up pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. I like to balance. I know not everybody's like right into like high-end custom shop FX pedals, of course not. So I'm still doing the other stuff. I'm just being more selective. So hang in there. There's a what I would consider a cool video coming up. I'm also going to put it up as a live premiere, so everyone can chat and do all that kind of stuff. But it'll be up probably next week, or maybe on the weekend. I'm not too sure yet. But it's going to be a good one. I hope you like it. Postman, sorry man, I missed your message before. He says, have you seen those guys raffling off expensive guitars on Facebook? Do you think they're legit? Probably not. Unless, sometimes... No, actually, you know what? I don't even want to justify that. I don't think so. I don't know anything about it, but I would make an assumption that raffling off anything, especially online, it sounds pretty suspect. I know occasionally I see stuff come up like, hey, this guy's friend died who had a whole bunch of guitars and his friend's moving them on for his wife or partner or whatever. So I see that, but that's very different to raffling things off. I don't waste your money. Yep. There's people out there looking to make a buck. Louis says, hey Shane, what do you think about Japanese Fenders? I bought a made in Japan Telecaster. It's been great. I don't know if it's any better than any made in Mexico's I've ever had. Also, the neck is gloss. Yeah, so I've said this a million times. I actually think I said it on the last live stream. I don't mind the made in Japan Strats, but I don't think they're really any better than the Player Series ones. I tend to find the frets too small on a lot of them as well. They're not all bad. There's plenty of great made in Japan Fender Strats, but they're just different. Yeah, again, the neck shape's different. The finish on the body will be slightly different sometimes as well. The ones I've seen at Sky Music, I don't like as much as just the Mexican-made stuff. So, yeah, the fret thing's a deal breaker for me. I don't know if they've sort of remedied that over the last year or so, but looking back at the ones I used to see all the time, tiny painted on frets. Some people love those, but I think they're the kind of folks who don't really do a lot of sort of like solo stuff or blues, where you really dig it in, because you dig in on those and you melt through them pretty quickly. I'm a huge fan of good Japanese instruments, but I think other brands do it better. My camera's not plugging in again. What's going on here? Sorry, guys. One sec. All right, we're back. We were getting dangerously low on the battery thing started flashing, so we should be good. Yeah, look, just because something's made in Japan, we can make this bigger. There we go. Awesome. Doesn't mean that it's great. It could be, same thing could be said for, American-made guitars or stuff made in Australia, whatever. It doesn't matter, right? So you just got to find one you like, irrespective of where it's made, I guess. All right. Dougal, hey Dougal, he says, decluttered a little this week, traded off 4 guitars and picked up a PRS SE Silver Sky. Good stuff. Need to declutter some more. Man, I wouldn't mind one of those guitars. I can't wait to try one. I'll try a lefty, and if it's anywhere near as good as how I felt when I played my PRS SE Custom 24 and then went back and bought it the next day, I'll probably get one. But yeah, congrats, man. That's super cool. Sirius says, doing well, Shane. Been working on 7 different amps. Wow, not including the walk-ins. I'll send you something to play with soon. Oh, very cool. Awesome, mate. That's great. Yeah, I love your stuff. It's very impressive. I mean, that combo was just ridiculous. It was so good. Maybe I'll have a chat to you about something at some point. I wouldn't mind one of those. Maybe we can work out a deal on a single channel one of those amps. With reverb, and I'm in. We'll see how we go. Anyway, that's cool. Anyway, where was I? Forgot it's winter there. Yeah, man, I tell you what, it's been cold at night, but the daytime's been awesome. It's been really nice. Most days, not all days, but yeah. GW Taylor says, bought a cheap crafter telly. I've seen them, only online though, with, is it raked body style? Okay. Changed the wiring to Vinci style, man. What a revelation. Everything from smooth jazz to raucous rock and everything in between. I'm stunned. Awesome. So you think the wiring changed much in terms of the sound of the guitar? Was there something that you noticed? It'd be interesting to sort of hear what you have to say about that, because yeah, you basically pulled the guts out of it, right, and redid everything. So did you change anything else other than like change all the caps and all that kind of stuff as well? or resistors or whatever they are in there. It's funny, man. Yeah, everyone was complaining about the bad weather in Melbourne over the weekend, and other than the rain, it was okay at about 10. Yeah, I sort of feel the same way. Everyone's saying how cold Melbourne's been. I get it. It has been cold at night, but I don't think it's been that bad. Today again, my nose is sunburned. So I don't know. I don't know. I spent most of today outside, and I have no complaints. Tonight we shot some video at the front in this park, and sunset was so good. Like, it looked unbelievable tonight. Like, it was beautiful. It was like a summer evening, only nowhere near as warm. Yeah. Dougal says the small frets seem to be a Japanese thing. I don't know why. Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, I don't know why either. They probably do that intentionally. It's probably, some corporate thing. Oh, yeah, we have to make these different. Let's do this. Who knows? Rod Jackson says, checking out, guys. Thanks for the chat and channel. Hey, thanks, mate. Thanks, Rod. I appreciate you hanging out, man. All the best. I'll catch you on the next one. So, yeah, we'll do a live premiere maybe this weekend if everything works out. So I'll keep you updated. I'll schedule that ahead of time, too. I think you'll be, if it works out time-wise, love to have everybody back. We've got Mark. He says, greetings. Welcome. The gas station. There it is. Gear acquisition station. Love my Aerodyne Strat. Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, so they're great, those guitars. I got to say that I really like those. They're probably like the exception to the rule of the traditional Strat with the little frets. Yeah, they're really cool. A friend of mine's got one of them, actually. Hey, we've got Ryan here as well, man. How you doing? Great to see you back. He says, I look at Shane O'Clock. Good to see you, mate. Greetings from the slightly less than previous West. Awesome stuff, mate. I might be heading back over there later in the year to Perth for a bit. It's such a nice place, man. I reckon Perth's, or at least, I don't know if you're actually in Perth, but Perth is just awesome. Maybe not, like, I love the suburbs, the river and all that kind of stuff. Just beautiful stuff. Makes me, it puts into perspective Melbourne once you go see that. It's like how Melbourne was like 25 years ago in some ways. I love it. Paul says, greetings from UK summer. Well, you enjoy that week and a half that you get of it, mate. You got to make the most of it. Bought a Japanese Tokai LS160 Love Rock. What is the best Tokai that you've tried or owned? So, although I've preached about loving my Tokai guitars over the years, I've owned 5, right? I've owned 2 made in Japan ones and 3 made in China ones. Or no, 1 made in Korea and 2 made in China ones, I should say. And the LS 110, which 110. So the model numbers change all the time. There's no, like, from what I understand about seeing Tokai guitars every year, the model numbers aren't the same. So I would assume like my 110 is probably similar to the 160 in most ways. So I love that guitar. It's great. My 335, what was it called? The LS145L or something like that. I can't remember what it was called. 145L, I think, was the number convention on it. And that was awesome too. But, I mean, that killed my Gibson. It wasn't even close. It was a whole different instrument. I wasn't playing it. I sold it. Probably regretted that to some extent. But I love my Made in Japan Love Rock. That thing's awesome. I've had it longer than any of my Gibsons. It outlived my Gibson custom shop. But these are, it just ticked the box in terms of everything I love about a Les Paul. I've never really felt like any of the ones I borrowed that had humbuckers, maybe there's 1 or 2 here or there, would ever replace that for me. Or I could ever justify buying another guitar to replace that, because I got it at a time when they were pretty cheap. I paid like 1,100 Australian dollars, brand new, with a hard case. Now that same guitar is probably over $2,000, would be my guess. So, yeah, congrats, man. The Tokai stuff's great. Deadbeat cold cuts. Did I? Sorry, deadbeat. Sorry, did I cold cuts? Sorry, man. Can't read. I'm getting tired. He says, you just inspired me. Never been to a blues jam, but going to try it come this Sunday. Do it. It's awesome. Just remember, turn down when you're playing rhythm guitar. Follow, if you just tell them you're new, would be my suggestion. And depending on your skill level, if you just want to get out there, follow someone else. So if they're setting up the song, find a part you can play to complement that if you can come up with anything. But just keep your rhythm guitar down, don't solo over the singer, and you'll be in business, and everyone will appreciate it. And you'll have a blast, man, because then you get to do your thing, you'll get a couple of solos, you can have some fun. It makes you a better player, it gets you out doing stuff. It's like having, again, camera equipment or a car and never using it. It's like, what does it do? It just sits there. Like, enjoy it. That's what it's all about. Music's one of those shared experience things. So I feel like, it's fun playing at home, but is it when you've played live? You'll have a whole different appreciation for music and about where you are musically and how you can get better. And playing in context with other people is a great thing. So, it really makes a huge difference. It really does. You'll enjoy it. Hey, Ryan, thanks, man. That's awesome. Yeah, it's probably going to be later in the year. So I usually go just after Christmas time normally. But, we'll see how we go this year. Maybe it'll be a bit earlier. Conan says, hey Shane, love the new Tube Screamer pedal you reviewed. Will be on the wish list. Man, that thing was fun. It shocked. I know I said this in the video, but it shocked me like how ridiculously well those pedals are made. Like they're like bricks, and the switches are phenomenal. Like they're so good. So I've actually got 2 more videos already scheduled. There's going to be one a week on the same day. So last night the first one went up. There'll be 2 more showcasing 2 pedals in each. And then the last one I'm going to film in the next week or so will be like a big shootout between them all. I'm impressed, but it's great to see. Like one of the things a lot of people have problems with like vintage Overdrive, Tube Screamers, Maxon OD808s and all that kind of stuff. You lose a little bit of tops, but on that you don't. It's got more note attack. It's pretty sweet. So these things are kind of subtle sometimes, but I noticed it especially on the jam track. When I got onto the one with the 6 dB boost, I was like, things just cutting big time. It was pretty cool. They're expensive, but I tell you what, the beauty of even like a stock Tube Screamer, they last you forever. I've had friends who have had them since like the early 80s or earlier. Like, super cool. Found Sounder, great guys. 100%. I was just editing the Guitar Search Saturday again today. It's one of those ones I didn't really do a lot of talking at the shop, so I'm going to have to kind of piece it together with some voiceover and all that, but I get to test some great amps in that shop, man. They're a great bunch of dudes. Sunny Suman says, everyone's enjoying cooler temperatures. I'm in India with 34 degrees Celsius and 92% humidity. Wow. That's crazy, man. It feels like 47. Is it true it can get to like high 40s there, right? Or more in summer? That's crazy, man. It's 92% humidity. I actually don't mind humidity, but at 34 degrees Celsius, that's, for the American folks, I think that's like 89 or 90 or more, maybe 92. Crazy. Dougal says, did you know there are apparently fake Tokais, or at least not approved by Tokais? Wow, you see them in offer in Australia, low prices, different headstocks. I didn't know that. That's crazy. I guess everybody, man, that sucks. Like, I mean, Tokai were one of the first lawsuit guitars, right? That's what they call them. They had the same headstock and they were handmade and all that kind of stuff. So now they're getting copied. It's this never-ending cycle. That's hilarious. I'll have to look into that. I don't know much about it, but Louis, take care, man. All the best. Thank you for joining in. We're going to wrap this up pretty soon. It's closing in on the hour. Why are we being nice to singers all of a sudden? Yeah, well, we should have prefaced that by saying You're allowed to play over the harmonica players and really, really bad singers, but that's it. No, it's like a courtesy thing, you know. Like if you're trying to sing and you got someone playing guitar solos over you, it's like the worst thing in the world. So you just try to phrase here and there if you need to do some stuff like that in between all of the singing, and you're in business. Oh, cool. There we go. So John says 34 degrees 93. Double it. Oh, okay, cool. My memory for that's not as good as it was. Very cool. More Than Good Enough says, you sold me on your NUX Trident. Man, those things are awesome. Fishman Loudbox mini acoustic amp through the auxiliary input. Insanely great. It can do everything. Never plugged it into a computer. That's the thing with that pedal. It's more of like, you don't need to do all of that stuff. You don't need to hook it up to a computer. It just works. NUX, they make great stuff. I really like it, and they're more affordable than, you know, they make some of the best small, cheap practice amps you're ever going to find. I really think they're doing some great stuff. Oh, there you go. 52 degrees Celsius. Yeah, wow. Maybe I heard that somewhere. Yeah, anyway, that's crazy. That is crazy. All right. Well, we might wrap this up. I know it's a bit of a short live stream, just an hour, but I'll timestamp it. It was just a quick hangout tonight, so thank you. And coming up, I got way more stuff coming up on the channel, so there'll be a good mix of some pedal stuff. I'm going to borrow some gear from Sky Music coming up. I might actually go down there the next couple of days, as I mentioned earlier. So, yeah, there's a few things I want to test, and then I'll start sort of like I'll probably produce 2 videos a week. That'll be the goal, plus maybe throw in a live stream for a while just to mix it up. I don't want to do as many like gear review videos anymore, and I've got some other stuff I want to add. So there will be obviously the stuff videos, but I'm also doing some concept videos as well, other types of stuff to keep it more interesting. The channel's going to be less predictable this year. Hopefully it already has been. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. Thank you to Sirius. He says Music Swap Shop is in Carlton is pretty good. Yeah, if they vacuumed, it would be awesome. Actually, I haven't been in there for a while, but it's always filthy. But it's a great shop. Mark Guitar says, see you all. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. Hope you all have a good rest of the week. And I will schedule up the live premiere very soon. Thanks for watching.